Greetings and welcome to 26th episode of the Reconnect Podcast TV Show. Today here we are at NJ's Family Restaurant and we have the distinguished guest, Dr. Retselisitsoe. Greetings and welcome to the podcast.
Morning, say how are you?
You are a doctor, which means you have a PhD. Can you share about your educational background? You got the primary school you went to up until
I don't even know where to start. So it's a conglomerate of many educational backgrounds, but I've gotten my ECCD education. There was one of the only kindergartens in Lesotho here. It was at Stanislas at St. Benedict, and then I proceeded to get it there, and then I wrote my standard 7 at that time because there was some issues with the standard 7 certification at the private schools. Then I wrote my standard 7 at Hotel Primary School, and then I proceeded to Lesotho High School. Lesotho High School, it was the best. Our fathers who worked for the civil service, and then I proceeded to the National University of Lesotho. I completed my first degree in political science and public administration, which is BA Social Sciences.
What year was it when you completed?
I completed in 2000, and then I did my postgrad in law. I completed in 2003, and then I further proceeded to University of the Free State. Oh God, there was University of Cape Town first, postgraduate diploma in law, and then there was University of the Free State where I did my honors in governance. Then subsequently, I got a good grade, and then I was enrolled into a master's program there. And fortunately, I also got what is called the Magnus Cum Laude, which is a distinction with a clean A+. At that time, I was working for the Embassy of Ireland as the governance and political advisor. Right here next door. How ironic. And they said, man, you must go and do your master's in development studies because you're in the development industry. And I applied to the University of the Free State, master's in development studies, Center for Development Studies. And then I got a regret. They said they regret to inform me that I have not been admitted into the program. I went straight to Professor Jonathan Jensen, who was the rector at the time. Said, but I've got a distinction in masters. What's going on here? This guy then tells me that it is not the university policy to encourage people to have long certificates. We want to produce professionals here. So we have been enrolled into a PhD program.
Wow.
That was in 2011. Then I started writing things I didn't understand about the PhD, researching and documents, this, that. I did my first, my second, and my third year. When I got to my third year, I recall my supervisor saying, now you need to be specializing. It is true that the program is MGT 900, but now you need to be specializing. What are you going to be specializing on? There are streams in your PhD. It's a PhD in governance, but there are a lot of streams. I'm looking at the focus of your research, and I think you should go into development studies or development finance, and also looking at what you are doing. Then I branched into development finance. It was really about how development partners finance humanitarian development, foreign direct investment or assistance, those kind of things. In the midst of me doing my PhD, for some odd reason, because I was now working for the United Nations Development Fund, Population Fund, UNFPA. In the midst of it, because now you are in the field, then I find I have a gap in monitoring and evaluation and in occupational safety and health. I got admission at the University of Carleton in Canada. And then I had to go to University of Carleton while I'm still pursuing my PhD to do my international diploma in international program, graduate program in monitoring and evaluation. Unfortunately, I completed my research thesis in 2016 January. I had to graduate in 2016 December. But then I was still in Canada. Then I had to defer my graduation so that it can happen only in the next year for my PhD, when I was supposed to have graduated in November, because I needed to finish in Canada. But because I finished my PhD before, then this one now came after. And then I graduated in Canada in the June of the following year with my international graduate program in monitoring and evaluation. Then subsequently I graduated with my PhD and also accredited with distinction, cum laude. Then because of the work field, you get into a lot of work field, you get into a lot of organizations, you start doing this and that. At some stage, I was the country director at Institute of Development Management. I'm in the education field. I find myself having been inclined to do things like project management. So I started enrolling in postdoctoral qualifications in project management, in corporate governance, because now there's a board here, and the board, you have a responsibility to answer to the board. You need to understand how the board works, how does the Kim 5 rules work, how does this thing work. Then I go back to school. So I found myself being a bookworm with no gap year for the last 21 years since I went into my tertiary education. For the last 21 years, I've been in a classroom, and I was not doing certificates or short courses or programs. I was actually enrolling into a higher education institution to get those qualifications that I require. And I found myself with a lot of certificates, which were not even part of my my aspirations when I was growing up. It's so funny.
This episode is brought to you by NJ's Family Restaurant, your go-to family spot nestled in Maseru West, Lesotho, serving up smiles and delicious bites for all ages. Visit NJ's Family Restaurant today.
At that time, it's so funny. At that time, our parents were dictating what we could be. At that time, what you were passing at high school level was already acclimatizing you to what you were capable of pursuing at a tertiary level. So, my father was just like me. He had lots of qualifications, different fields. But my mother was an accountant, so I was so good in accounting. And she would coach us, she would sit with us, she would train us, So I enrolled at first. When I went to the National University of Lesotho, I enrolled for Bachelor of Commerce. But before the year ended, I changed my mind from the Bachelor of Commerce because I was passing economics and demography. So I wanted to go and do BA social science majoring in economics and demography. Then I think I failed math. The one part of math I failed. I said, no. Then I took just a 1 year program just to upgrade my mean. Then I took PAS 160, which is political and administrative studies. Then I found myself doing political science, which is something that I never planned. But my father wanted me to do law. That is why I could not even, after graduating, go back home and say, I've got a degree. My father was angry at me and said, no, you have to do law. So I had to go and do law subsequently, just to balance my mother's aspirations for the son to get the degree and my father's wish for me to have another one in law. So I balanced everything. And then I end up with a different qualification at a professional level that now I found very relevant in the current economic climate.
Wow. So currently, is there any program you are pursuing? Or this year you took a break?
You can mute everything else so that people don't think I'm crazy. But I've actually enrolled for actuarial sciences. Yeah, I want to do actuarial science. This was inspired by when I was working in the corporate organizations that I have served so far. I found a high perpetuance of institutional risk and institutional, I don't want to say fraud, I want to say illegality, because it's also fraud for somebody to go for an interview and portray a picture that when they are now in the field, they are nothing of what they have portrayed, and then there are some instruments that are being used like psychometric testing tools to try and match. But a person can get away with those scientific tools because they've been developed by a human being, and a human being can change the perspective of everything else. So I wanted to do insurance, fraud, and risk. But now I found actuarial science to have everything else contained in what I wanted to do. Then at some stage, as I'm still a serving member of the board of the University of the Free State, then I'll be supervising, I'll be marking, I'll be moderating, I'll be tutoring, I'll be invited for open days, presentations about academic achievement, academic excellence, and things like that, Then, what is this? Central University of Technology in Bloemfontein now contracts me also to supervise and teach business analysis.
Wow.
So those things need to be backed up by qualification. You may know everything else, but the qualification is very important. Yes.
Wow. So when did you start your career? When you started working?
I first started working as a junior counsel with one of the most renowned lawyers. May he soul rest in peace. He was B. Suknanan. I was working for the Suknanan as a junior counsel there. And that guy threw me into the deep end to go to cases in Tabatega. What? But I found the legal profession to be very tedious. At that time, I recall some of the counsels would say, whenever you throw a stone, it lands on a very poor lawyer, because the university is producing a high number of lawyers and the market is very small and the population is small, as the country is small. So everybody else is a lawyer. And I found it to be very tedious. And then I would recall during my days pursuing law that there was a case that Advocate Mahau, who was my lecturer in constitutional law as he then was, he loved that case. He said, if you don't know this case, then you cannot do constitutional law. That case, State versus Makwanyan. 791 pages with almost 11 to 13 judges descending and ascending, putting there some obituary on it, And reading 712 pages for a single module, and now you're going to be faced with cases out there. How many 712 cases are you going to read? So many 712 cases. Now, even my PhD thesis itself, it's 808 pages.
Wow.
So you ask yourself, I took 5 years scribbling and making a contribution to a scholarly union that I'm coming up with a theory here, and then I'm going to be a scholar and a reference in this theory that I came up with like I did. And it was tested, it was challenged, it was corrected, I defended it, and I was awarded, So you mean I'm going to be reading so many cases? I said, no, I'm getting out of this field. So that's how I got out of the legal fraternity field. Then I went into...
what year was it when you went out of
2003. Why back? Then I went into the consultancy field. I became a consultant at LIPAM, Lesotho Institute of Public Administration and Management. That's where I found my niche. This is exactly what I love. Developing modules, developing programs, teaching, training. Then I found this is what I love because it is more real. And at that time, if you didn't know, since it was a department of the public service of the government of Lesotho, people would be going to trainings, resource management, strategic planning, management principles and techniques, etiquette, communication. Then you have to research, look at how to develop a module, how to develop training, and even how to learn how to train others. So we go to Eswatini there. There was a place called Mananga Training Institution where we got certificated as training of trainers. So I have a certificate of a trainer. So I began to love that atmosphere. That was in 2004, going forward, So practically also, I stayed in the field. When I was in that field, I found out there was a gap in my credentials. You know where the gap was?
What was it?
I didn't have enough qualifications. And there was a shortage because I was portrayed as an expert in labor laws then, teaching issues about public service regulations, public service laws and things like that. Then I had to do postgraduate diploma in law with specialization in conciliation, mediation and arbitration.
Wow.
Because now I needed to fill in the gap. Because I felt I love this space. I love this thing, But after that, I found LIPAM to be very boring. I went into DDPR. I became an arbitrator. Now, the primary qualification of an arbitrator is to have conciliation, mediation, and arbitration as a qualification. So I went there to sit in DDPR, becoming an arbitrator. 1 or 2 or 3 years down the line when I was working there, I found the routine to be so annoying. At 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m., you have a case. Who comes? Factory workers, factory unions. What is the nature of the case? Unfair dismissal, unpaid salaries, unpaid public holidays, wages. That thing was happening every single day. Even today when you walk into the DDPR, unfair labor practice, unfair dismissal. What? Nothing changes. At 11 you listen to another case, people fail to negotiate in front of you as a conciliator. Then you have to go to arbitration. Now they have to come and give evidence. You have your law of evidence books here. How should they tender in their evidence? How should they examine the weaknesses? This is how you analyze. The arbitration of what is the same? Introduction, the facts, the evidence, the analysis, your summary, and your judgment. It's the same. Then I found it to be boring. In fact, every time I was out of court, I would sit down and start typing the judgment. You don't even need to change the template because you know that you have to establish the jurisdiction that this is the rightful authority and forum to be listening to this matter as it is a dispute of interest in terms of section 2262B of the Labour Code Order Arbitration and Conciliation of 2000 as amended. It's still the same language. You see, I find that the applicant was unfairly dismissed based on facts and evidence that was presented. I am ordering that the respondent pay salaries of 12 months for procedural unfairness and 12 months for substantive unfairness. Those are the only things we deal with. So I took my time in the afternoon to research. And then I said, I want a higher qualification than this one, but a qualification that gives me a niche. Then, because I've worked at the Lipam. Then I said, what is lacking in Lesotho? It's actually people who appreciate the processes through which the institutions and systems work, which is governance. Then I researched, I found, they offer governance at the University of the Free State. It's nearby. Yeah. But I couldn't go into the master's program directly. So I had to go through the honors first. That's how I got into governance. And then I started understanding the instruments of government, how they work, the functions of various institutions, and so on and so forth. That's how I earned my position at the Irish Embassy. In fact, Irish Embassy sponsored 6 more remaining months in my master's program on full sponsorship. And I was already in their office at that time. And then I loved governance. That's when I started dealing with the institutions of democracy, institutions of good governance. I started dealing with the development partners, European Union, World Bank, United Nations development program, and then I was the head of a program called Consolidation of Democracy and Good Governance, where I would work with the Ombudsman, the Human Rights Commission, the Independent Electoral Commission, the Parliament, the Senate. I would work with the clerks. I would say, how do we consolidate and deepen democracy? Remember, at that time, our democracy was still very fragile. And there were less people who knew about the democratic instruments. But to me, I was not into the political aspect of it. I was into the governance, the systems, the processes, the business of doing the right things, not doing things right. Someone can just do things, and then they are saying they're doing things. Here we have to do the right things, you see. So that's how I got into the field of governance. And then I improved myself. Unfortunately, the embassy locked the doors and shut down. So I formed part of the structural unemployment. But during that time when I formed a part of structural unemployment, guess what I did?
Visit TM Properties and Real Estate Investment Company. They are located at Medcash Complex. Their services include property evaluation, site inspection, property survey, property investments, property management, property rentals. They buy and sell property. Visit today.
I was into consultancy. I started developing strategic plans for organizations and companies and people and things like that. I started doing consultancies, doing your business plan here, doing your business analysis here, writing you a proposal if you want to go and have a tender. So I got a lot of information and I got a lot of experience. I gained a lot of experience along the way, So I became a consultant, and that consultancy was the one that was paying my PhD fees.
Wow.
At some stage, I would stand there in the middle of the bridge. I didn't have 1 cent, not even 1 rand, but I had to go and do consultancy in Stellenbosch, where my supervisor of governance was based, Professor Lazel. And then I would get a hike from Maseru Bridge to Bloemfontein. No 1 cent in my pocket. I had a car, I called to Takashi, I would park it in the basement of ShopRite here. And then I would go there, walk to the border, stay in the middle of the bridge, get a lift to Bloemfontein. And then I would just ask this lift to drop me there, by the Kronstadt, Kolosbeek Road. The other one is going to Johannesburg to Kronstadt, and the other one is doing Kolosbeek to Cape Town. Now I'm going to Stellenbosch. I would sit there. I would wait for a hike. I would get it. When I get to Stellenbosch, I would tell my supervisor, I'm in Stellenbosch. I said, no, don't worry, Ed. I'll come and pick you up. She would come and pick me up, and she would give me a spare room in her house. We'd stay there for the whole week, feeding me everything else. Wow. And then when I goes, Ed, do you have a wife going back home? Then she would book me a bus to Bloemfontein. Wow. That's how I completed my PhD. But other people really came in and supported me here and there. I can never ever forget to acknowledge the former Prime Minister, the day Msisidi, who has at one stage given me a check of 37,000 to go and pay for my fees.
Wow.
And my travel. And when I graduated, I took my certificate to him and said, that day, this PhD, you made it happen. and many others who could give me some handouts. I even started selling cars just to make ends meet for me to complete my PhD. I would walk from Hillsview, that's where my homestead is. I would come here to LTDC. You see this lady who's holding a bowl here at LTDC? I would sit there. You know why? There was Wi-Fi. That Wi-Fi, I would either get Wi-Fi from LTDC offices or LA's the shop, which was somewhere there, or International Sports, which was Pukafago's shop, and then I'll be researching, sitting there. Then at one stage I'll get random phone calls from IDM. And that there's a records management program here for 2 weeks. Please come and help us and take the records management program. Then I'll get some consultancies. I'll get 8,000, 5,000, 10,000. This week, next week I'll get 12,000. And that there's a strategic planning workshop here. Please come and facilitate. And that our lecturers are not here. Please come and be a lecturer for Saturday and Sunday. You get paid 120 per hour. You have at least 8 lessons over the weekend. You don't even go to church. You're making ends meet. You see, that's how I got into this whole field of consultancy, and I gathered really a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. Maybe the team there, the Ministry of Development Planning would also call me and say, there's a review of the National Strategic Development Plan, and we anticipate that you can be one of the local experts and resource persons just to come and do some drawings and design, mapping, everything else. And then I'll get some payments there, and I'll pay it against my PhD or my studies. So that's quite a tough journey of qualifications, and quite a tough journey of professionalism. Or gaining that experience. It never comes easy. But hey, here we are.
So currently, what are you doing career-wise?
Probably you should know a little bit of my last engagement. In the last, from Institute of Development Management, in 2021, when my contract ended. Unfortunately, it ended, it wasn't renewed. Technical issues, nothing else, because the performance was superb. In fact, I was even given a performance bonus. Wow. But when somebody wants to fix you, they want to fix you. But it's neither here nor there. Yeah. Then I went to work for Lesotho Tourism Development Corporation.
Oh, yes.
I was the CEO there. When you hear of something called tourism levy, I always like to say, when you get into the office, you must leave a mark. You must never go unforgotten. You must always be a point of reference. Then we will know you were there. Let me show you. In Lipa, I left a mark. I developed what is called a diploma in human resources and labor laws, because I was the only one with the qualification in labor laws when I was in Lipa. I developed that module. It went through the national curriculum. It was approved. It is there, and it is my baby. I developed it. When I went into, let me say, IDM. I don't want to talk about development partners. Quite controversial. When I went into IDM, I developed a certificate in hospitality, emergency medical health. The reason why today IDM is offering project management at a degree level is because I developed the module. Because I already had a qualification in project management. So I knew what it wanted. And then there's another bachelor's program there in business administration, specializing in HR, I think. I developed that together with my team. I led it. I gave them, I made them win. But I was doing the self-evaluation and assessment. So I left the mark. I remember when I was there was this place called Thapelo, which was left abandoned in the yard because it was an historical monument. But I said, even if it's a historical monument, you cannot leave it dilapidated. It must serve something. Then I touched that place. They said, hey, well, they're going to dismiss you. I said, I'm watching. When you do a development, somebody dismisses you. Then I maintained the whole infrastructure and the whole traditionalism of the place, but I converted it into a lab and classrooms and offices for certificate in emergency medical care. Now it is working wonders. It's a mark. It's a mark.
Yes.
And then I put in a lab there that now people can write their SIPs examinations, their online examinations. Anybody can apply to go and write and sit for the online examinations there. I put in 50 computers and developed a state-of-the-art lab. People say, wow, what are you doing? What are you doing? Converting commas and making them into classrooms, That's how I loved my work. I left the mark. Then I went into tourism. The reason why you always hear something called tourism levy that made people hate me is because I introduced the tourism levy. Tourism levy was pronounced way back in 2008. No CEO, no government ever followed up on tourism levy. In my first 3 months when I was in tourism, I put up all the documents together, the strategy and everything else, made an enactment, convinced the parliament, the levy was enacted, and people are supposed to pay levy. I just am very shocked and very disappointed that after such a hard work I did, and it's not too conventional to always be saying I, because you are working with other people, but you lead as a CEO or a chief accounting officer, you lead and you are answerable. That means it is your baby. You cannot say, I was not there when it was done. You have to answer.
Yes.
So I always get so surprised. I see bikes coming in, Roof of Africa coming, people coming with stages and everything else. They are not paying levy. I always go to the border there sometimes when I pass through. I see these people just passing without paying the levy. We even made a concession with RSL, Road Fund, how these things should be charged. But it is not happening. It's because we don't care. And yet we need to increase our tax collection basket. We don't care.
Can you talk about the significance of that levy?
Levy.
Looking for fast, reliable internet? Visit Jenny Internet Lesotho today.
Levy is just a tax. It is just meant to provide funds for related activities to improve service provision in that sector. When tourists go to Simongo, managing force and everything else, they need to find the route good, the facilities good, and everything else. The government cannot always be using its capital budget to do those things. So people must pay the levy so that we collect income to improve the facilities, to improve the environment, to keep it safe, to make it visible, to make it the ambience. You see what is happening now? You look at Makwanyane Square, people are going there, and a lot of tourists, when they come in, they find, oh, what is this place? It looks good. They start going there, and then there are people who are there who are taking pictures. They are starting to earn a living because of the ambience. So the purpose of the levy is to collect taxes and revenue so that we improve such places so that there can be more income to supplement provision of services, goods, and facilities. That's the reason why. That is the reason why when you go into a hotel, you pay levy. When you look at your hotel slip, your accommodation or hospitality slip, somewhere there to show you how much levy has been charged. And tourism is supposed to be collecting that levy against going to improve provision of services. If you go now and buy a packet of cigarettes or you buy alcohol at Halfrank or anywhere else, you see that there is a tax and then there's levy.
Yeah.
You see, it is the responsibility of the authorities now to collect that levy, to put it in the basket fund, to provide and improve services in the specific sector in which the levy is collected against. That is a form of government regenerating revenue stream. That is how it is supposed to be, but we are ignorant.
So why did you leave the Lesotho tourism development?
Yes, I left it early 2022. It was quite a very unfortunate situation that made me leave that place. It's a story that I really have lived past, and I've moved on with my life. Whether it will end good or bad, I moved on. I was involved in community brawl. I would say it's a community brawl. It's like or something, even you start fighting, even then that fight escalates to business here. So I got involved in something where people started fighting me because they were fighting my child. So you go there, you want to defend your child, and then they started fighting their child. They took away my firearm. There were shots fired, and then everything else was pinned upon me. I was humiliated. I was embarrassed. And then somebody wrote on Facebook, and based on the Facebook information, I got suspended. And based on that suspension, I never even got into a hearing. I got dismissed. People didn't even know the story. But eventually, when the courts found that this is wrong, there was no charge, no bail, nothing against this guy. No. The prosecution said, let's withdraw this matter. There is no charge against this guy. This was a public brawl. It was supposed to be a public inquiry. Unfortunately, people had their interests to see that because the government had just changed. So there was a lady who wanted to buy in to stay in her position. She influenced, and she was even calling the police and everybody to make sure that this guy gets dismissed. But when the facts came out later, nobody apologized. Nobody reinstated me. No, so I lost my job. I lost a job that I particularly loved so much. I almost lost everything in my life. In fact, not almost. I lost everything in my life. I lost my self-esteem. I lost my dignity. I lost my ego. I lost my family. I even lost my things.
So how did you cope in that situation?
I'm still not coping. Let's just put it there. I'm still not coping because I fought a legal protracted battle where someone who was on the other opposite side forgot that I have a family and he can also have a family. I fought a very bitter battle. Even today, I am still fighting that battle because the courts found out that I was wrongfully dismissed. Even the criminal court found that I was wrongfully dismissed. The labor court, the labor appeal court, the high court, everybody found that I was wrongfully dismissed. But from the day in which I was dismissed till today, where the courts ordered that I should continue being paid my salaries and my benefits, even today I have not been paid. I have not even received 1 cent from the salary that I used to earn that maintained my life and my family's life. Up until today, I have not been paid, even when there's an order, because people fix people. They fix you because they think they're going to make you rich, or they fix you just to prove a point, or they fix you because they envy you, or they are jealous, or they have protracted hatred. Some of them I always say, maybe hard, so they don't want to see somebody succeed. Yeah. But these people forget that they also have children who are going to be subjected to our children, and it's going to be a long chain of generational hatred. My child is going to fix your child because your mother fixed my father. But I haven't survived, my brother. I want to tell you, I'm merely surviving. My head is just above the water. My nose is just above the water so that I can keep breathing. But one thing I can tell you is that God gave me education. God gave me faith. God gave me eyes. God gave me the brains. God gave me hands. God gave me hearing. All of those things, when they come together, as a man at my age, I'm surviving. As a man at my age, I am surviving. 45 years of age,
45.
So many qualifications, but unemployed. Just because of somebody who decided to spread a bad and a false rumor. I recall a few weeks ago I was with one of the members of the family that we had a brawl with, and then this guy was beginning to tell me the real story. This is what happened, and we're so sorry. But nobody can go publicly again and say, this was wrong, it should not have happened this way, I'm so sorry, the facts were wrong, now I've been dismissed. Now I have no job. Now, not job per se, but I have no relevant job to my credentials. Because my brother, said, I'm going to show these people that we don't need them, and I'm going to use you. And then he held my hand. He gave me a life. He gave me a sense of purpose. He gave me a sense of belonging. He made me be seen. For him, where he falls, I'll fall before him.
Wow.
When the steam train comes in front of him, I'll stay in front of the steam train for him. I'll take a bullet for him. Because that's the guy that put me where I am today. That is why I will do everything in my power to put him where God has destined him to be. And I'm doing it. And he will be. So I started working with him. Lots of projects. Almost 99% of projects that I do with him, I run. He's a very busy man. He's a very humble and very, very loving person. And he's given me a life. Every time my phone rings, it's business A. Or it's business B. Or it's business C. It's business D. And E and F. That I do with him. That I run with him. And that has given me a very good exposure. But lately, organizations, companies, people and everybody else, they start coming to me for consultancy work purposes. They start, sometimes I get a pile of papers this big, and then Dr. Uncle, please, can you please review those documents for us? For each of them, give us a summaries or a briefing of what they want, what has to happen, this and that, this and this and that. When I return them with an invoice, and my family lives. My family survives. And my children, the only thing that you can never do in life as a man is to change the lifestyle of your children. Because they will remember it. And they will blame you. They will hate you. Sometimes they will love you. So I was making sure that the lifestyle of my children doesn't change. I went from a big car worth 1.8 million, 2 million, driving a Honda Fit for 45,000. That's how low I went. I humbled myself to God. I humbled myself to the journey. I humbled myself to the circumstances. Still till today. But I never changed my children's school. I never changed my children's lunchbox. I never changed my children's clothing line. I never changed my children's house. In fact, I upgraded their home. When I'm not employed, I bought them a new house. 2. One in South Africa, the other one in Lesotho. Wow. Because I don't want them to feel the pinch. So as a man, you start doing what? You start looking for innovative, productive, and better ways to survive under the worst circumstances. And when God puts you in the worst circumstances, that is when you start being intelligent, and that is when you start fearing the power and the might of the Lord, because He can change your destiny to nothing to everything. I'm not saying I've changed my destiny to something to everything. Instead of selling the iPhone 13 Pro that I bought 3 years ago, that still looks new, very new, I upgraded it to iPhone 16 Pro Max. I'm not going down, not when God is there. I'm going to God, not when He is there. I will not go down. I will still go up. So you maintain your lifestyle, but do not overcommit yourself to things that you cannot do. That is why I have to degrade my own personal appearance in favor of maintaining and even making sure that my kids' lifestyle is proper. Because another house starts from your wife. Yeah. So I ended up buying my wife even a car. I paid it. I bought my wife a car. Recently, I just bought another car. Same cars. His and hers. do you see how life is? Yeah. You know, one day, God will knock into the senses of the people who are not paying my dues because of we want to fix him. But it might be God's destiny that it is not yet time for me to receive those dues. When the time is right, Isaiah 60:22, I, the Lord, will make it happen. During all these unfortunate circumstances, God rewarded me and said, you are the king. You are on the throne. Matthew 5:14. You are on top of the mountain. You are the light. And then I was inaugurated as the chief of my homestead there in Pretoria, Mazino.
When did it happen? Unlock new worlds at the Connection LS at Maseru Mall for only 35 Maluti. Experience the thrill of virtual reality. Whether you are chasing excitement or exploring incredible landscapes, it's an adventure you won't want to miss. Step into the future of fun today. 9D virtual reality game machines available at Maseru Mall next to game stores.
It was in 2023. I was conferred the chief in August 2022. Just after the brawl in January 2022. In August 2022, I was conferred. And then in 2023, I was officially inaugurated as the chief. So I am the chief. People are looking up to me. I am the chief of the people, and that in itself, it's a consolation from God that so it is all about keeping the faith. It's all about using that which you have and being happy with what you have. I no longer get hurt. But even where I am right now, people will say bad things about me. People will not say bad things about you when you are sleeping in your house because you are nothing to them. They'll say bad things about you when you are doing something that they actually envy and they wish they would do it. I don't remember nobody said bad things about him because before he was the prime minister. Everybody was saying all the good things. Today, no, the should take another term. I personally didn't vote him. Yeah. But I'm telling you that if he takes another term, it is good enough for us. But I'm looking sure that even if he does take another term, someone is very close to him, and it's okay. It will happen. People will talk very bad things. I remember one person was telling me, selfish, that in fact it was my cousin. He was telling me, my wife tells me that people say you are so selfish, you're so self-centered, it's all about you. And then we did something with my cousin. And then that something gave us extremely good amount of money from his projects I was helping him with. And then now he puts the money on the table. And then the wife says, Ash, didn't people say this guy is selfish? Didn't they say he's silly? And look how wonderful and being good he is to us. Then I always tell you that the perception of people, lies spread faster than the truth. Tomorrow you know me as a silly person, as a selfish person, as an arrogant person, as everything that we have heard from the other person. And then you meet me today. You say, are you sure? Because I've met that guy. Even where I work, people will come to my brother do what, say all of those things, fire him, do this, do that. But because he knows me, he'll never listen to those things. So people always have a perception about you. People always portray you as something else. Unfortunately, that perception goes a long way because an employer will Google and then somebody saying, I never even used a firearm. Yeah. In fact, I was shot 4 times. Wow. And then the police were surprised. Didn't they say you shot someone? No, I was shot 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I nearly died with this one. 4 times I was shot. Wow. So it's all about not thinking what people do. What I'm doing now, like I told you, I no longer get hurt. Whatever you say is all right. I agree with whatever you say. I don't care. If you hurt me, if you betray me, if you stab me in the back, I only get disappointed to see who's holding the knife, not what the knife is doing. I only get disappointed. Even if I'm angry at you today, or now as I'm speaking to you, you'll be surprised. 10 minutes later, I will be happy. If you take a call and call me, I will be happy. I'm not going to fix you. I'm like my brother. My brother is like that. I can fight with him. Fight. And people will be surprised after 5 minutes. We are actually doing something together. And we are very happy. We are past that fight. You see, I don't bear grudges. I don't even revenge or retaliate. Whatever you do it because you like it. Whatever you do it because you're selfish to put yourself first. Whatever you do don't even consider me. I can be a part of your life. I always tell my wife that, listen, man, you are in Johannesburg, I'm in Lesotho here. I'm with my children here. Whatever you choose to do when you are there is because you love it. I'll support you. Or if I don't know it, it won't help me, But what I choose to do when I'm here is to build my family, is to build my kids. Because tomorrow, I want my kids to be better than me. Someone will ask, hey, what kind of better is this? Because we feel we are better. No, I want them to be more. I've got a daughter. She studied overseas.
Wow.
Now I've got a son. She's studying locally here. Now another one is doing sciences. Big model. Now another one tells me, hey man, it's a career day today. I want to wear something like sports. And people will say, hey doctor, where are you? We're having a couple of drinks, guys. My children first. I'm doing shopping for myself. He wants an Al Nassr jersey, So I had to go and get the whole outfit for Al Nassr for him to wear to career day because he wants to be a soccer star. And I understand these things. How do I understand them? I support him in whatever he wants to do, So I'm telling him, hey, look, man, I'm going to take you to a soccer academy. See, he's wearing the Al Nassr jersey today. I was all over town yesterday looking for this. Until I even asked somebody with Facebook, because I don't have Facebook. I said, hey man, can you just try and see who sells this kids attire? Then I found it somewhere up there in the bus stop, and I had gone to the malls before. Because you want to maintain a lifestyle that you can't even preserve. I went to the malls where I thought each thing. But I got this thing at the bus stop. Look at this guy. Got the soccer boots, the socks, the jersey, and then the soccer ball for Barcelona. And this guy was very happy. If you keep your children smiling, they will remember you when you grow up.
Wow.
And then my daughter said, today is Abdika at least 10. Next week, they didn't remember. It is a mask Friday for us. So no, listen, it's Abdika at least 10 today. Next week, it's your 10. So I'll still be doing the same thing next week. Shopping for another one, Shopping for another one, because you need to keep your children happy. When you do that, and God sees how you are holding your family, God will reward you. But you must know when the time is right, not when you wish. When the time is right. I can be an expert in so many fields, and people can pass me and say, "But why not say remember, it's only when God says the timing is right."
So how do you balance all these things, like the personal life and really give time to your family and the people where you are the chief, and also the multiple businesses that you do?
For the fact that I've been a consultant and I've trained in work-life balance, it means I've got some principles I live in. For the fact that I've been a senior manager or executive, and I've also been a leader of organizations, it means I understand the health and wellness approach. You'd be surprised when I tell you my routine. If somebody wants to mark me and kill me, not assassinate me, I'm nobody. Just to kill me, murder me, they'll murder me easily. You know why?
Why?
At 8 a.m., my gate opens at home. I go to one place, 2.5 kilometers away from my house, the gym, LDF. I do aerobics. I used to do weightlifting. I want to be good. I want to look cool, But I found out that once you pass the age of 40, you don't need to look good. You need to look healthy. You need to be healthy. You can smoke. You can be a habitual drinker. Your habitual drinker is not a drunkard. It's somebody who just that's a habitual drink because it's your habit. Now it's becoming your practice. It's now your custom. So I go to gym. Because you don't want to LDF more, get the aerobics. I love posting my statuses on WhatsApp, and then when I do that, then somebody says to me, well, why are you doing these funny things? Why are you doing these things of gymnasiums and do whatever? Then after gymnasiums, every 9:30, what I do is I go to my office. I'm still there in my office in Consultancy, where I run the foundation, and then I have the commercial, the corporate part of it, where I run the businesses with my brother.
What is the name of the foundation?
Butata Mashala Development Foundation. And I do those things, and then subsequently I'll be doing family business. I'll be doing the Murena's business there in Lesotho, So I almost run 7 businesses. The 7 businesses includes the foundation, the family, and Murena. And then there is 5 officially registered organizations that I run, with and through my brother, So from the office, I pass straight through my swimming mall. I go to my house. You know what I do when I get to my house?
What do you do?
When I'm late with 5 minutes or 2 minutes, my children call me. Daddy, where are you? It's time for homework. So you'll see every evening or almost 2 or 3 times in the week, you'll see my status. I've posted my children. We are doing homework. We are singing. We are doing what? I'm a family man. Oh. I will sit with my kids. I will entertain my kids. We'll have movie nights. We'll have popcorn night. We'll do homework nights. It's the practice, the routine, and the molding and the upbringing that will make them better people. They know Daddy is in the house at 5:30, latest, or 6 on odd days, or 7 when he's in meetings. But we will still do the homeworks. And we will still pray at 8:30 and sleep. It's bedtime for us. So that is my life, my routine. On weekends, I can go out with my children. Go play, go have ice cream, go have KFC. Oh, they love KFC with the house. Go have KFC. From there, we sit in the house, we do popcorn, we watch movies. Or I went to a funeral, or I went to a pizza, or I went to a business engagement, or I went to a foundation function, but I'll still be in. In fact, on Fridays, I don't go out. Those are days that I tell myself, even if I wanted to go out, I won't go out.
Why?
I think that it's been like that in my life. I've always found Fridays to be very rowdy, traffic, people getting drunk. Or the other phobia I have is somebody hitting my car. So everybody's drunk on Friday. Yeah. They will hit you because we have gone through the stress throughout the whole week. So it's okay for people to detox on Fridays and have their drinks. So that's how I balance it. Sundays, I'm in church with my children. They will even tell me, Daddy, we are going to church today. When they're not going to church, I tell them, Daddy's going to church. You see them starting to prepare. Daddy, we are coming with you. So that's my life. I don't have a life besides my family, gym, and my work. I don't have a life. There's nothing extramural I do. I don't hang around. I don't go for drinks. I don't go to bars. I don't go clubbing. Maybe I'm boring my wife who's younger than me, but I don't do those things.
So do you have friends?
The term friend, I have long discarded in my life. I don't have friends. I have people I know. I have people I grew up with. I've got acquaintances. I've got people that I can share conversation with. I don't have friends. I've got a group of people whom I can sit with because we know one another or we are mutual persons amongst one another. Maybe this person is your friend or your neighborhood guy you grew up with, and then you know me. Guys, we can hang around 8 of us. Nobody knows one another, but we start being friends. I don't have friends. That is why you'll never see me in boys' groups. I don't even have a boys' group. I can have groups that have boys and girls because we have a special interest. We grew up in the same neighborhood, or maybe you are inclined to one political organization, or we subscribe to a certain political mandate, or we're in school together like Exma Saole, or we are academic group of M&E experts like we have one in Lesotho here, or there's a consultancy group here, but I don't have friends. I've got people I know, not friends.
So are you into politics?
I am. Actually, I enjoy it a lot. Remember why? One of my basic qualifications is political science, and you always want to put your qualifications into practice. So I'm into politics. I'm a certified political analyst. Yeah. When people start going to radios there, and then you hear Batlele Baditaba, I won't mention their names. I always get shocked. the first qualification is political science. Political analysis. And yet when we went to school, we got certificated, we got declared, we wrote books, we wrote articles. And we are political analysts. I'm a governance expert, I'm an M&E expert, I'm a political analyst. So I'm into politics. Yes, I'm into politics. I'm not into quite active politics, because I am more of a political strategist, a planner, and a political academician. I can help everybody in politics for as long as I subscribe to their ideas.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Reconnect Podcast and TV Show. Is there anything else you'd like to?
No. I'm just saying we are cruising just fine without any fear of contradiction. For as long as the head is above the water, keep thanking God. Someday the feet will all be above the water. It will be unfortunate if that day is when you are elderly and you are starting to die. But I've got only last words to say. Never ever forced to change things. Never ever want to dictate things according to your terms, because it is the environment that dictates how things will be. And never ever force anyone to subscribe to you, your feelings, your time, your love. But keep doing the things that are right, and keep doing the right things. Pursue being good to everybody else. Pursue doing good always. Pursuing being truthful to yourself, and never ever allow the nerves of hate to always overcome you. Never get hurt, never get frustrated, never get depressed, never get miserable. Take that nerve, chop it, fry it, eat it, throw it away. Nobody has a right to hate you in this lifetime. When somebody does that, chop that nerve. You should not react. Just say, it is well. Thank you, Dad.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.